it's just nerve-wracking. The whole process is just so nerve-wracking. That's all I'm gonna say. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you went through the same stuff, Walton, so you know.
But yeah,
Mm.
we went through all this cut, and it is stressful as fuck. But I don't know. It's also energizing because it's like, holy fuck, this is a massive purchase. But it's also like, holy shit, I'm gonna have something that's like semi-permanent to my name. Like the permanence of land ownership and all that is negotiable. I feel like in our range of politics, but it's energizing. But to be able to say like I have a place where I can go to no matter what, and nobody can tell me shit about it.
See, it's like personal sovereignty. Like if there's such a thing, it's just like
that is exactly it.
It's
man.
just like because landlords.
It really is the closest we get to like personal sovereignty. Sorry, landlords.
Yeah, because they just the rent is now going up.
Exactly.
By 20%, because the area is getting like all it takes is for like a new head office to move in the area and who's giving people good salaries, and then everyone's we've seen this happen over and over again. And then now you're like, now my light is in this school, I must put my light out. Now you're trying to look for a space in the same area, and now nothing's fitting your budget. You go back to work, you ask for an increase, you get gapped. Hey, sorry. And it's just like, where are we going to now? Like, it's just that hop around thing. Like, if you have a permanent job and like, you pretty much know that you can cover cover a bond, as long as you don't mess up your job or, then I think it's a wise, I'm also very uneasy with like, being a landlord, to the sense of like, okay, I'm going to buy 2 properties, 3 properties, and I'm just going to rent it. I'm going to max out the rent. Like, that's not something it doesn't come naturally to me. And it's something I have it doesn't sit well with me, but having that peace of mind of just, okay, a piece of me is here. This is where I am. That is something that I like. I find that it's like, okay, that's something for us, for our family, and
and I but also like just thinking about what you said earlier, Lee, about how there's that fear of like, you have to keep your job, you have to maintain like a steady, stable income, all of these things. I feel like this is one of those massive inhibitors of people like being able to get out of cycles of poverty, because like work isn't permanent anymore. Like people,
those days are gone, man.
You don't work 40 years for a company and retire with that company and all of that stuff. Like, that's not the reality of the world that we live in anymore. And I feel like, I don't know, this is why I feel like the way things are structured, the way, like how land ownership is structured in South Africa, but I guess most places in the world, just doesn't make sense. It just does not. It makes sense for like the 1920s or something like that, where you could, even up until the end of the First World War, possibly. I mean, the end of the Second World War, possibly, like where people were still, where there were still kind of jobs, manufacturing, all of these things going on. But stuff is just so different. And
like, you could work in a factory. You could work in a factory as a foreman, or even just and buy an apartment. You could work in that factory like your whole life, and your sons would come in and your daughters, and you'd work in the factory. Now you need such a high-paying, steady job to even get into the the property market. And in Europe, like my Irish colleague was telling me, it's so messed up. because you need 30,000 euros deposit. That's why, like, you need
Oh
30,000
my God.
to buy. But
Oh
now
my
that's why,
God.
and rent is more expensive than bond repayment. You were saying he was paying like 800 euros on rent, but the same property, if you had to buy it, would have been like 550. The bond would have been 550, but it's that barrier to entry that's keep like, why
Yeah.
why can't you just buy it? Because I'm paying rent. Why I don't have they're not saving for that lump sum. So a lot of the people now, the professionals or the young professionals, moving back in with their parents, helping out just a little bit, saving that 30,000 euro, and then
Yeah.
because
But I just
That's
remember. I just remembered two. Sorry, I didn't go. Go for it.
no, you go ahead.
No, I just remembered two things. One, in Boston, there's like massive fights between tenants and landlords going on now because landlords have increased, like during the COVID period, they've increased their rent for like 10, 15%, and people just can't afford it. So people are being evicted. So there's like, daily court battles between multiple tenants, multiple landlords going on. There was supposed to be like a rent freeze,
I remember.
but then the Republicans collapsed the rent freeze, and so the landlords could, do what they wanted to do. The other thing that I remembered, is that there's a company, like the biggest company that advertises online for apartment and house sales and rentals. It's called Zillow.com. They also own a ton of properties, and I saw a video on TikTok, actually. This guy who's a real estate agent, he's saying that Zillow, this company, is busy dumping all their properties. They're busy selling all of their properties, and he says, so they're framing it as a restructuring of the business model. But his speculation is that the housing market is about to crash, and so they're cashing out while they still can, and then they're gonna, when it crashes, they're gonna buy back a ton of houses at super low prices, and then they're gonna sell it at exorbitant prices again. So they like, playing the market. But this
Playing
this
with people's
whole
lives,
this
man.
whole like real estate game, it's a game, first of all, but this whole real estate like thing is just,
You know what always fascinated me? How are properties valuated? Like how
like
you
it's
and my
like
brother.
saying, how is art valuated or something?
But that's the
Guys.
thing. That's the thing. So, like in Australia, there's a property bubble that's about to burst because the real estate agents and the banks, it was found out. You must, okay, you must, I don't know. I'm just talking out of my head here now. But the real estate agents and the banks were kind of in cahoots to inflate prices of properties in
Fucking
areas.
hell.
The bank, the real estate agent would say, oh, this is so much. And the bank would be like, yes, yeah, is so much. But at the end of the day, the person who buys it, or the bank buys it for, gets screwed. Because obviously the higher the amount, the more money. A bank's business is to loan money. That's their game. That's how they make money. They loan money, and when you pay it back, you pay back that money plus interest. But here's the kicker, guys. I found this out and I felt like it was a secret. And this makes me feel like money is a conspiracy.
It is okay. Anyway, go on.
So I went down this rabbit hole of how do these billionaires not pay tax? Okay. And that's because they don't earn a salary, right? They don't pay, like Tesla doesn't, Elon Musk doesn't get a salary, a personal salary, right? He doesn't get on the books, therefore he's not taxed. I don't work. Like, I mean, I work, but I don't get paid. But now I'm thinking, no, he owns shares. You own shares, right? But now I want toothpaste. I want chips. Well, how do I buy these things? right? Day to day, because he's a person. Like, I want pizza. Like, who buys that? And this is what I found out. They take loans from the bank. Now, a loan, when you take a loan for 100K, it comes into your account. It's an income, but it's not taxable. No one pays tax on a loan, no matter what the amount is. When you take a loan from the bank, right, it comes in your account. You don't pay SARS anything, because that is the nature of the bank. It's to make up money. It's a fictitious thing. I'm going to give you something fake. You don't pay tax on it. But what you give me is that same money, that fake money back plus more. So I've made money.
Yeah.
What they do is they take loans from the bank with their shares as surety. So it's like, I own how many amounts of shares in Tesla. That is the surety. If I can't pay back this loan, you can take some of the shares. And the banks love that because it's worth a lot. So they'll give the bra whatever. So he's rolling around with money that is not taxable. He's buying his cars, he's buying whatever he wants to buy with it. But now I'm thinking about, how does that loan repayment happen? And that happens through the company. The company pays the loan. Oh, bro, I was like, you sneaky mother.
What?
So you're working with money, you rolling around with money that's not yours. It's just a digital thing, button that gets pressed, and it's in your account. You don't pay tax on it because you don't pay taxes on loans.
Oh my God.
And then, but if you die in the UK, if your parents die and you inherit money, you get inheritance tax.
Yeah.
My colleagues' parents had to sign. They retired, but they signed over the house to the kids. They sold it for something stupid like £100. But because if they died and they inherit the money, the house, they are taxed on the market value of the house. They seen it as an income. And I'm just like, what is that?
And so I honestly, Lee, I think it's right that people get taxed for inheritance. In South Africa, you also get taxed from a certain amount upwards. So from, like, I don't know what the amount is, like 3 million rand or something like that, and up. But I feel like if people are inheriting mad things, and I'm not talking about like poor people inheriting, a small piece of land or a small house. I'm talking about, like, these multi-millionaires who are leaving their kids.
Got it. I'm with you on that.
7, 8, 9 houses and a property in Cairnsway and some shit. They must pay. I don't give a fuck about it.
The sins of your father.
But like your colleague, for instance.
Yeah, his father was a worked for the postal service. He drove the post.
You see, like, truck, why? I feel like why would you wanna like, especially state workers, postal workers. Or
but that made me mad, bro, because I was like, how do you buy food? And then I realized I was researching and figuring this out. I'm like, you every time you just take a loan, you tell, okay, I got 60.
The other thing is though, like with the shares, for example, it's only when one disposes of them, like when one sells them and makes a profit, that you pay tax on them, right? So you can hold those shares.
Hold it.
I don't know, for as long as you can. I mean, here's the thing about Bitcoin as well. A lot of these Bitcoin billionaires are Bitcoin billionaires, but they're still holding on to they haven't sold those Bitcoins and realized that that's actual value.
Yeah, it's just Bitcoin billionaires.
Yeah, it's Bitcoin billionaires. It's not actual cash money. Like, it's all value. It's a lot of value, but it's not.
I think in South Africa now, it's altcoins or cryptocurrency is taxable once you cash it out or transfer it. But yeah, man, it's just like, so you're running around just taking loans from the bank. You're not even paying it back. The company's paying it on your behalf. And you just...
So here's the other thing that's crazy about that, Lee, is that there's this documentary on Netflix. I'm going to find the name for you guys. But basically, it's about the 2008 housing crisis and how the banks and the rating agencies like work together. No, it's not Iceland, it's the US. Everything's always the US, bruh. When I talk about crisis, I'm always
that massive one. That massive.
Okay.
Yeah, that one that basically,
insider trading.
But what what was happening is that the rating agencies and the banks were working together. So, and these like investment companies were packaging these like property, real estate kind of, you buy a share in a property, what's it, a real estate investment trust, I think it's called, or something like that. Anyway, don't know the all these fancy language, but point of the matter is that someone buys a share in like shares in the equivalent of a property market kind of setup, and then the bank packages that and sells that to the investment companies, who then sell it to the investors, basically. But those property things are speculated upon, and like the value of them is raised by the rating agencies. So the rating agencies go ahead and say, no, it's good. And eventually the speculation eventually inflated the property market to such an extent that the bubble just burst. And the thing about these things that's crazy is that a bank is too big to fail.
Yep.
Who guarantees the bank? The state.
Always bailed out. Always bailed out. Show me a bank in South Africa that went down. Capitec, Steinhoff, not even, bruh. No, we made a 400 billion calculation error.
Volksbank.
Yeah, no, bruh.
Volkskas, bruh. Volkskas.
Sambo,
my bro.
Like,
but I mean,
it's
crazy.
The state
guys,
guarantees it.
It's crazy. Here's the other thing also, though.
Sorry.
I just want to quickly go back to the buying a property thing. The other thing that people, like the debate between renting and buying and so on and so forth. Like if you're renting for a certain amount, then you can definitely pay off a house, or, you know, like, why would you pay someone else's bond? Like all those kinds of arguments. Until you actually sit down and you work out the cost of owning a property, like insurance, the amount needed to put down for a deposit, the rates and taxes, transfer cost.
We'll take you back.
Like you can save up for a deposit and then realize half of that is going to the bond and transfer.
But
and then
that's
like,
why
oh my word,
you buy off plan. So like how we did, it was just new, and there was no owner before, so there was no transfer.
So you don't pay transfer duty.
Yeah. I also asked my sister though, like, what is this? How do they calculate it? She's like, it's just
on the value.
It's just the practice of I forgot the legal term, or transfer conveyancing. Yeah.
I feel like Lee, you said it, you know, jokingly that money is a scam, but really, all of this is like, so much of this is invented as they go along, right? Like I was watching this, and I'll circle back to property, but I was watching this docu-series on Netflix called Bad Sport, and it's basically about like kind of scandals in sport and stuff like that. This gambler, big money gambler, like millions of dollars, was gambling on college basketball. He looped in a young black bra who had nothing, told him, I'm going to give you 20K, you shave points off the game, you win by a certain margin or lose by a certain margin. And of course, that bra, first of all, NCAA, those athletes don't get anything, right? They don't get endorsements, they don't get a salary, nothing. They don't their fees,
sponsorship,
get
nothing,
paid, basically nothing, fuck all. So of course this bra is already hungry, has very little, so he says, yeah, I'm gonna take this. What this gambler then does is he takes his, I don't know, $1 million, $2 million, he goes to like 40, 50 different casinos in Vegas, because he knows that he can't bet it all in one place. He goes and he drops, him and some other people, his father and his father's friends, go and drop money at multiple casinos. But because they're betting very one-sidedly, that changes the nature of the odds and the nature of the payout. And I feel like this is exactly what like financial speculation is just guesswork and like adjusting the margins like all the time. Just like, okay, so like there's a Brent crude oil spill in the Caribbean. What, like, how is that possibly gonna affect the, the transit of, I don't know, plastics from,
or seafood supply,
like seafood supply, or whatever the case may be? How is that gonna cause social unrest? All of these things. There's so much speculation, and I feel like so much of the speculation doesn't doesn't directly negatively affect, people who earn good amounts of money and who already have properties and who already have like a good uh, load of assets. It affects people who have to shop, on lay-by, who have to shop at
or like
ShopRite,
for
who
your
have to pay,
example,
like,
in your
who have
example,
to
the
take
people,
out payday
payday
loans and
loans.
stuff like that.
In your
All
example, the
that shit.
people who would potentially work at the fisheries, packing fish, and they like, check here, guys, there's not enough fish coming in because of the oil spill. We have to lay off some people. Now they can't pay rent. Now they, like, it snowballs. Whereas the owner of the fisheries was just like, oh, we'll be fine, type of thing. We'll wait this out. It was, we all took a knock. My bonuses went down this year, but you still got a bonus.
Yeah,
but that's like, I mean, we need to make a distinction here between small businesses and like much larger businesses, where
I think
the precarity
like
of that thing is like
INJ, or like,
that's
I think
different.
it means like a
small
multinational.
Because small businesses operate on very tight margins.
Yes.
And so like, like if a small business owner decides, like if a guy who owns a fish shop, like that, what's that place in Kraaifontein, Marinas, if that he's employing like 5 people.
He's a small guy.
Not going to close. He's not going to close like just because if he closes, it's because like, okay, like I really, like, this business is going to fail if I continue, and then we're all going to basically, do you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like small businesses are always in a more precarious position than your larger kind of business. They can absorb the impact. And oftentimes, like, that's why in the economy, when there's like, look at unemployment now, that unemployment figure is partly like big businesses like retrenching people, but it's also small businesses failing, bruh. Like small businesses realizing, like,
guys, it's
like,
looking bad, bruh. It's looking bad.
It went up 0.5% in one quarter or something like that.
Yes, second quarter.
That is ridiculous numbers, bruh. And I haven't seen like the stats for like, age, but I'm willing to bet that it's gonna be like young people that bear the brunt of that 0.5%.
And going into the second part of this whole conversation, which is Wilton wanted to talk about the new variant and South Africa and the world's response to it. My fear is that if that was the stats for the second quarter before all this news came out,
but
I'm nervous for people at home for this year. Like, it's just it's people are just kind of recovering, not even, dude, and now this thing hits. And the tourism industry, it's done. Like, this was the time for restaurants and bars and the people driving those industries are people on the ground, waiters, the barmen, like sound techs, like people who are literally paying rent. They're living week to week. Like, it's not these big corporations like Hilton, Holiday Inn, Marriott. Like, they will be fine. But like, once, like, as Aiden said, it's like the retrenchment, that happens.
Retrenchment, right?
That happens in those big businesses where they need to cut the fat and be like, sorry, and it's the people on the ground, the cleaning staff, the security, these people that kind of get sacrificed. And yeah, that's a mess up, bro. What you're saying, Aiden? There's a rumor.
No, there's a rumor going around that interprovincial travel will be closed tomorrow.
Oh God.
And so, like, I know of people who work at travel agencies who are panicking because they're like, basically, this means that, you know, could be possible retrenchments because of that. And like, I don't envy the person who has to make these kinds of decisions. Like, I don't envy being in that position because it's such a, I don't know. I think partly like there's so much like the media representation of this variant is so, how can I put it? It's xenophobic, obviously. It's violently racist. And it's also like incorrect. Like the science has not yet decided how bad this thing is. Right now, the data is showing that it's not causing severe illness just yet. It's not causing death the same like we had in previous waves. Granted, there are a lot of reinfections happening through vaccinated people, but I can joke about, I think 80% of the people in hospitals right now are unvaccinated. So and the media is just like, so these BBC reports that were basically like the Southern African variant, you know.
Dude,
it's so bad.
The UK has a problem.
Yeah, in the States, but the news isn't like there's a variant, like we learned about it from South Africa. The news is the Southern African variant, the Southern African Omicron. Like that's the language that's being applied here. And I don't know, it's just.
Remember when the first
disconcerting, but
it reminds me of this irrational panic when all the toilet paper went missing. Like, how did people?
I remember that shit.
No, I saw like people are fighting over toilet paper. That's the first thing you get is how am I gonna wipe my bum? Like, that is your logic. It's like it reminds me of there's a new variant, right? There's a new variant. Okay, let's shut down everything. There's gonna be many more. Like there's gonna be many more, and that's the thing about it. The more time it gets to play on the field through unvaccination, the more chances it's gonna get to alter itself. Yeah. So the problem, like, and also the first world of the West, I would say, is also they play a huge part. If they want to call it the Southern African variant, okay, cool, we'll own that. But then you need to own hoarding vaccines, because that's what you did when everyone was saying, the UN was saying.
So the thing isn't. It's like it's a twofold thing that happened. It's one, it's the hoarding of the vaccines, but two, it's the like publicizing of misinformation that has led to the public feeling like, well, you know, there wasn't a good public campaign for why vaccines make sense, why. I'm not talking about South Africa. I think South Africa did a great job of like really pushing for vaccinations, but I think like
but there's still so many people.
I feel like sensationalized media globally, and everybody sees this media really push this kind of like narrative of, I don't know, they really just entertain the sensational news. And I think like the dual layer of that, like the hoarding plus the media coverage, really has pushed so many South Africans to be skeptical of getting the vaccine, to like resist getting the vaccine. And I feel like we have to, Aiden said this like months ago already, but I'm impatient with people. I want people to get the vaccine, but I also know that I have to like question why people are taking this position that they're taking. So they're taking this position. What can I do to like sway people or like provide information that might be useful in getting people healthy. The other thing is also just on Omicron, the Omicron variant, all data is showing that it's less severe, but that also means that people are psychologically taking it a little less seriously because they're not fevering, they're not, they're not losing sense of smell and taste immediately and stuff like that. And so they're still circulating socially. And I think that, I'm worried about that part of the whole thing, that the social aspect of this disease, of this virus, is gonna have us locked in for another couple of years. That's my feeling. I've been listening to some epidemiologists and public health experts here at Brown, but also back at UWC, and just like trying to get a sense of what people's thoughts are. And it seems like we're gonna be locked into this thing for a couple of years at least. And my fear is that because this variant seems a little less violent to your body, people are still socializing, especially now that it's Christmas and
but
New
it's
Year's and
the
all that
worst
stuff.
time of the year to have this thing
It is
out.
the worst time of the
The
year.
worst
That's what
time.
people were saying. People were saying, yeah, it came last year also at this time. Just press.
Yeah, it will be fucking Cape Town. It will be Cape Town and we'll say,
You see,
people
I don't
want us
think
to
it's a
have December,
coincidence. I don't think it's a coincidence.
No, but the other thing also that's fascinating that I've seen reported, Walton, about this Omicron thing is that apparently towards the end of the Spanish flu, there was also a less deadly form of the virus that started circulating before the end of the pandemic. And so some people are saying that this is like a good sign. It means that the virus is not necessarily causing severe. In other words, it's going to become like the common flu, basically. It's circulating very fast and very everywhere, but it doesn't harm you as much because we've developed antibodies and stuff. And the other thing about South Africa is that they say over 80% of the population has had COVID, they estimate. Vaccinated or not.
That's a heavy number.
So I mean, that means that the entire country has some sort of prior infection, and I think the numbers are sitting now at 40% or something of the country that's vaccinated. Obviously, that's not me being optimistic. That's me just stating the facts, because I'm still very pessimistic about the future and what this means. But I just think, man, this thing can end now, really, guys. I'm so
for
over
real,
this pandemic now.
For real. I just hate I hate the racism, bruh. I hate the racism. I hate the colonial fucking bullshit thinking. I hate that. Desiree was telling me yesterday that they're in the Caribbean region. So one island shared with, I think it was Saint Vincent, shared vaccines that they had gotten from a group called, I'll try and I'll link
Covax.
it in the chat or something. Yes, Covax. They gave their access to Trinidad and Tobago. Covax came and said, well, we didn't give you permission to do that. Now you must pay us $70,000.
What
the fuck, bruh? What is the fucking logic? It's excess. That stuff isn't gonna make the trip back to wherever the plant or the factory or whatever.
This is the thinking. Like, we don't understand that if we're not, none of us are safe until all of us are safe. Because
we all in this shit together, but because
globalization in the Spanish flu days, there wasn't aeroplanes traveling 67 times a day. There wasn't people going for meetings from Japan to London. There wasn't this amount of travel happening. So the word pandemic, we've had it too good for too long. Sorry, like we've had it too fucking good for centuries. I mean, well, for decades when it comes to viruses and stuff like that. All right, we don't know this, and in a world where we can solve everything instantly, this is one thing that's going to require more than technology. The technology is there, the vaccines are there, the science is there. It's us that is just like, I want to go to the salon because how can I have my hair like this? It's like we've had it too good, but this also this idea of the UK is fine. So many we've on our booster shot, we'll be fine. Like, do you understand how your country works? Do you understand who your country is made up of? The diaspora that travel through different holiday periods. Like, I don't understand how people, it's this thing of, well, I'm in charge of this country. I'm not in charge of a different country. So I'm just going to take care of us. And that is the thing that's nailing us globally at the moment, is this every man see for themselves. And like,
but this is the nature of what, this is the nature of capitalism, first of all. And this is the desire of capitalism and like the neoliberal, sentiment, which is, first of all, every nation state for itself, and then every man for themselves. And they don't give a fuck. But I can't. I'm scratching my head looking at really blatant racism and blatant colonial thinking in what is seemingly mainstream newspaper articles, just like talking about Africa like this, deep dark continent that's bereft of any knowledge and awareness. We saw a official document from the Canadian government saying that they will not take anybody who got vaccinated in a third world country because it's a third world vaccination. What the fuck, maybe?
So you know what we need to do now?
What? Like this is a government. This isn't some person random, off the edge kind of shit. This is a government mandate. We are not gonna take anybody into our country from these countries.
They got the same vaccine
because they got a third world vaccination. What the fuck are you talking about, bro?
It's the same vaccination. The thing is this, it's like, oh no, you must use the tap outside. You can't use the inside tap. The thing is this, now with this development of Aspen partnering with this massive pharmaceutical production company, they're going to make the tablets in South Africa, the antiretroviral COVID tab. I don't know if you've seen this news. It's big now. You know, Aspen, it's like it's a big, they found out how they can make, the antiretroviral tablets for HIV AIDS, similar kind of makeup, but for COVID. And they've mapped enough of the genome to predict the next couple of they've sequenced enough of the genome to cover the next couple of variants. And it can be taken orally, like once this is all done. If we get that right, then African countries get it first. Like, we need to start looking after our own, bro. It's just like, but
we locked into so many fucking.
I know. That was gonna be my next, because of the sanction, and then you're gonna be like, okay, so then there's like, okay, if we're gonna buy this from you, they're gonna stop us. Time for trade negotiations again, and then it's just like you're never gonna try and get ahead. Like, I mean, there's always this capitalistic power that they're not afraid to pull that card out. It can be all like, oh, we'll help out, don't worry. But when it comes down to the core values of countries, we're seeing it on display openly now, brazenly displayed. No shame. And look how they group the countries, bruh. Like, it's from Botswana, right? But then Suma, the whole Southern Africa, because they're all the same. Like, I throw Zimbabwe in there too. Like,
throw Malawi in there too.
You too, because it's all the same. It's you guys most. You all look the same. You guys all look the same. But look how small. But look how small. Wait, I just want to say this.
You guys all gyrate. Yeah.
Look how small European countries are, right? Look how these people that live in Germany but work in Italy, right? There's people like but no one lumps them all together in this one thing. No one's blocking
the whole European Union.
Yeah, I don't see European countries blocking each other or from traveling, but it's so small, right? Like Austria. Okay, can Austrians fly anywhere? Yes. Like no one, like, but it's messed up. So obviously this, like when you look at it in that angle, like none of this actually makes sense. And that's why it never made sense. Canada leaders, they're not ashamed of saying that. No one's ashamed of saying it because that they're saying what they feel. That's like, what did we say? It's true.
I feel like, honestly, like, I feel, Amy Suzette wrote Discourse on Colonialism in the middle of the 20th century. I feel like this is an instance where, like white supremacy has always shown itself, and it's always like, it's always followed up from itself and on itself, and it's not a benign presence. Like it shows up as diplomacy, or as like debt cycles, as trade agreements, and all of these things. And so it's easy to look past it, but I am, yeah, bruh, I'm so tired of and the news cycle also just makes everything so much worse.
No, it's a lot, bruh. It's a lot because it reminds me, like in a microcosm, it's like you bras with a bra at school and everything's tight and you're all friendly and it's, hey, Lee, here's a sandwich. I know you guys are hustling and all that. But as soon as shit hits the fan, nah, bruh, that's hey, you're not my people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah.
it's like, hey, no, I'm not with him. I don't know, that type of thing. It's kind of like that. It's at the precipice and in difficult situations, people's and nation, their true selves and their true values show.
Yeah.
And African countries have done nothing but try to help each other,
bruh.
And Caribbean, as you say, like, yeah, have some of our and get punished for it. South Africa, hey guys, here's something. I think you should look at this. Okay.
Punishment. All of punishment, bruh.
You report a robbery, and you get locked up.
Yes, exactly.
That's basically what happened.
Exactly.
Here's a suspicious black male. Okay, come with us, Mr. Shirika. No, not me. Not me, bruh. Sorry, guys. I just know how to. I make light of things that are.
But I just feel like I'm at the point now where I am thinking about. So one of my, I have to do field exams to go to the next phase of my PhD, basically.
What's that? What's field exams?
So field exams. Field exams or preliminary examinations is basically you choose a field, right? You like. So I have to choose 3 fields. My 3 fields are decolonization and public health, Pan-Africanism and the revolution, and like Black feminism and the rural space, right? So those are my focus areas for my 3 exams. I have to read 60 plus books for each. I have to sit a 3-day exam for each, and I have to write a paper for each, basically, in those 3 days. But in this public health and decolonization prelim exam, field exam that I'm busy reading for, but it's just, I'm learning now how things like agreements with the UN, like towards the end of colonization in certain countries, agreements with NGOs have really crippled public health systems local public health systems. And it's disconcerting to watch really astute professionals like at UWC's public health, for instance. UCT also has a good public health um, center. Like, these people are literal experts, and I feel like we should be paying attention to what they are saying, but also I feel like we should be paying attention to what they are saying in relation to what people in agrarian studies is saying, and like
interdisciplinary type of
the kind of public humanities and stuff like that, because public health isn't just a matter of medicine, it's a matter of social life. And so like if we are going to like seriously think about how is our country and our region and our continent and our diasporas, because I feel like our diasporas, we need to start thinking about the Black diasporas in relation to the continent. How are we going to like move towards a healthier social but also medical space? And I feel like this Omicron, the Delta variant, all of it is really exposing the world's anti-blackness in a lot of ways. So I don't know, but anyway, I feel like I'm fucking speeching today.
Go, Aiden, you want to say something?
I just wanted to say, I think like we can't expect humane actions from an inhumane system.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I just think that's my pessimistic thought for the day.
No, I think you're right. No, I think you're right, bruh. Honestly, Aiden, I think you're right. Sorry, go on.
That's me saying that these things are institutional.
And then
I think
as I say, and then you get these blossoms of humanity within the system, like Walton was saying with the Caribbean countries trying to share. And then what happens? The system does what the system was designed to do, was to be inhumane and say, don't give that person medicine, don't give that country vaccine.
So punitive.
Not only don't do it, but I'm going to fine you for that now. You must pay it back. We don't have money. So the system is doing what it was designed to do. It's not that it's broken. It's doing exactly what the status quo of Africa needs to be maintained, whether it's psychologically, medically, and through commerce and trade. There's this thing of you are expendable. We can ban you guys from traveling and we will not blink. We will sleep fine. We will not be hurt economically, whether you can travel or do business or not. That is the thing. And like, I would go so far as to say it will further form a regression of the African country's economy, and then have to rely on them, on the powers that be once again, is to keep you there. You know what I mean? Like, it's like
we don't have to look far for examples of this, like historic examples. If you think about Haiti, right?
Haiti, yeah. I was about to say that.
Haiti, like, revolution, Dessalines, all of them crazy, right? Then France comes in and basically the world finds Haiti and says, you have to pay France because you took away France's slaves. Haiti is still locked into that debt today, bruh. Like hundreds of millions of francs, they still locked into that.
Yeah, because it makes sense to find someone taking something that like doesn't belong to them in the first place.
But so like the West, through the US and the CIA, but also through the UN security forces, stage, coups, stage political upheavals, don't allow democratic processes, don't allow the Haitian people to make these choices for themselves. destabilize the country so that they can maintain control of that region. There's the cholera outbreak. Then the UN suddenly sends in their forces. They don't send in they send in a few medical forces, but they actually send in more military forces after that, at that point. But the precedent is there. The precedent is there for exactly what you're saying. And, without that precedent, it might sound like a conspiracy theory, or it might sound like a far-fetched idea that the West is intervening at this level, but it's there. It's, the evidence.
I see it
in South Africa, in Mozambique, in Angola, it's there.
I'm starting to see traces of that pop up in the type of techno-liberal circles with regards to green energy and all of this. And I'm like India and I have it's a love-hate, because the West has profited off coal and fossil fuels for centuries, right? To get to a point where they can switch it to renewable overnight. Now they're demanding that China's moving at a pace, silently quiet. No one talks to them. They just do their own thing. Places like...
You guys must read that article that I sent you about China and like locking parts of the continent into a new debt cycle. But go on.
Didn't they take away Ghana, someone's airport? No? They took away Ghana's... Anyway,
Uganda,
so like they took away...
Oh my God!
No. We're not spreading fake news here. The Ugandan government sent out a tweet. It said, important notice. It said our airport has not been captured by the Chinese, so it's not been captured.
Okay.
Please don't spread fake news.
So back to that. It's like, number one, you want all your production to happen in Malaysia, Indonesia, Bangladesh, India, and these countries, right? Brazil, you want all your meat and your farms and your grain to come from there. Now you are showing off your solar energy, your renewable energy. But remember the story of African dustbin, right? I don't know if you guys read that to any kids in school. I don't know if you did.
No.
It's like so India is like, no, we will carry on using this and we'll try and sort out our own problem. Like you guys have... It's like we've come away from that, so you guys need to do it as well. But if they had to produce, then you produce your own your own factories, like make everything in Europe, make everything in the States, produce it yourself, and then see what it costs you. So it's like this, trying to take the stance of how can I say? Trying to take like a holier than thou stance when it comes to these things, like, oh, save the planet, save this, but you're not helping, because give us the stuff then. Give us, so like, share the technology. Don't sell it. We're making the stuff for you, so give it to us. But
well, a large part of the problem in that regard that you're talking about, Lee, is something that Vijay Prashad points out. I think Aiden shared a video with us.
Oh yes. Love
and,
that.
And basically the idea is that the US is shitting on China for having high carbon emissions, but it's the US that has outsourced all of its capitalist production to China in order to feed its own sick machine. Now I'm not absolving,
that's what I'm saying.
Chinese action and all of that stuff, but it's exactly what you're saying. It's this holier than thou, like, oh, we're not doing all of that, and I don't know, but it's just I'm frustrated. And honestly, this is why I feel like I'll work around, wanting to get a piece of land, thinking about like cooperative ownership models, or all of these things. I feel like even though it's a big, powerful dream, I have to hold on to it. Otherwise, what the hell am I doing? But because I honestly, I'm trying to figure my way out throughout this like fucking quagmire of just depressing news cycles. And that's another thing I want to say. Please tune out of these. Please just tune out of commercial news cycles.
You're in a country where the media is powerful.
Crazy. But no, the media is all powerful because the media and the state move together. I feel like the US has this fantasy of itself that it's like has this free and independent media, but it's like all the media is tied.
Yeah, that's why I only watch and read
to some political side. You know,
I only watch and read Fox, and that's the only true source of
Fox off, bruh. Fox you, Lee.
Fox you. Hey, bruh.
So we should talk the next time when Andrik is here again. We should definitely talk about that. What's that text that you shared that you asked us to read actually today?
That was interesting.
Yeah, the Combahee River Collective State.
Definitely, we should definitely chat about that.
Yeah.
Because that was actually a really interesting read. And we also said we would read Bell Hooks' Feminism is for Everybody, but we can't pause on that. We should read. I think it's important to get back into that stuff.
Yeah, we also said
there's lots of stuff in the news cycle now about men doing things. So we should definitely start
men doing things the best way.
Well, maybe
men doing the things they do.
I would then suggest we start with Combahee statement, the Combahee River Collective statement, and maybe do like the intro for the Bell Hooks alongside that next week, and just have a chat about it, see where we are at.
I'm more than happy for that.
I feel like we can because the Combahee statement is available online in multiple places. You can download it from Yale. There's a online version and so on. Bell Hooks, what is it? Feminism is for Everybody?
Yes, Feminism for Everybody.
I'm not gonna say that you can pirate it somewhere, but the internet is wide and okay. So I don't know if maybe we can like publish just this clip, put it out like today or tomorrow still, and then maybe if people want to read along with us, and when we have our discussion next week and stuff like that. But I think you're right, Aiden. I think it's important that we get back into Black feminisms and like transnational Black feminisms, especially because, we are living in a time where we are predatory, and we are problems. When I say we, I mean men.
Yeah.
I think, and
not all. Sorry.
I will fucking.
But yeah, it's we whether actively, whether by consent or not, or silences consent. It's all these things. It's all these structures that are just open there for us to use and not speak against them.
Yeah.
But we need to live it. Okay. All right, guys. We're gonna wrap up this episode now. For Jelly and Custard, I hope you guys enjoyed that. Please like, subscribe, follow wherever you can on social media. Our handles are JXC Podcast on Twitter, on Instagram, and on YouTube it's Jelly and Custard. So please follow, like, and subscribe, and leave a comment if you have any ideas on what you'd like us to talk about in the next episodes that come. And thank you for listening. See you guys next time.